What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Tell Me More podcast presented by the Real Estate Cheat Code. I'm super excited for our guest today, Stephanie Harget with Remax Apex. Stephanie, thanks so much for jumping on with us and just sharing your story and your journey to becoming a real estate agent.
Thank you. I appreciate you inviting me on.
Yeah, well, I like to bring people on that are top performers, in our marketplace, and I find that as I keep interviewing agents, and we all come from different walks of life. We all have different career paths. We all made different decisions as to why we got into real estate, and we were talking beforehand that and the audience knows that my mission and passion is to help new agents get into the market and to positively impact the failure rate, right? Like I don't believe that it has to be the high rate of failure that it is in our market. So Stephanie, on this show, we always start from the very beginning of growing up. Where are you from? What was life like for you as a kid?
I grew up in Clintonville area, just north of OSU. I went to Bishop Watterson there. And what's funny is during this whole journey that I've been on, I realized that my 7th grade volleyball coach was a realtor, and I thought it was the coolest thing back then. And I remember seeing her on the benches, waiting for the bus. And I just thought that it was the best career ever. And so I grew up in that area. I absolutely love that area. I'm not up there anymore. I'm in Fairfield County now, but it was a great area to grow up in.
Did you have any hobbies, any interests, growing up, and then, did you end up, graduating high school, obviously, but did you end up going into college, or did you go into the career field?
I actually did college for a little bit, but at that point I just wasn't really into it at that point. I was really into color guard, and there's winter guard and drum corps that I did. And so I got to kind of travel the country doing that and performing all over, and moved to Dayton and performed there and coached there. And I really loved coaching. I coached for over 15 years
Oh, wow.
before. Yeah. And then we had my son, and I kind of had to put that on the back burner. So, but yeah, that's what kind of, planned on going back to college, got married, had the baby, how the story is. So
lead me down the career path for you of, when you decided that, real estate was going to be the thing that you wanted to go and do next.
Absolutely. I always wanted to get into it. But what's funny is I always wanted to purchase our first house before I got into it. And we just we rented for a long time. And I think we just kind of got comfortable with where we were at. And so then COVID happened, the interest rates started dropping, and we were like, maybe now's the time to start looking. And so we got out there, and we found our house. I absolutely love our house. It's an old, from the 1900, probably pre-1900. And I just love the character in it. I love old homes. So we bought our house, and then I was telling our agent that I really wanted to get into real estate. And so then she approached me the next year, and we bought in December. So it was only a couple months later. And she suggested that I take my classes. And so I did.
So it really was, you really just had this filter of like, I'm not going to get my real estate license until we bought our first house.
Yeah, I felt like I needed to experience what the buyers went through before I could work with them. And so as I was going through the process, I was also thinking about, both sides of it, knowing that I wanted to get into it also. And so like the scary parts that I was going through, I was really paying attention to that, because I wanted to know, when it comes time, I want to be able to calm down my clients and let them know, like, hey, I've got this. I can help you through this.
Yeah. So before that, then you were just really
A stay-at-home mom.
The coach and stay-at-home mom then, huh?
Yeah. I was a stay-at-home mom for over a decade. And so when I came into this, my SOI, my sphere of influence, was nothing. So, when people say, I don't have a sphere, I'm like, create one,
Mm,
but find something that you like and find some other people that do the same thing and
yeah,
create your own sphere.
yeah. I think that exercise of, writing your list of your sphere of influence is one in our industry where, um, there just becomes like this wall in our minds, right? Like
Yeah,
we like, oh, like we can't think of anyone's name, you know what I mean?
exactly.
And I was just talking to one of our agents, yesterday, and I said, the lady that works at the gas station by my house that I stop at all the time,
Hmm.
right? Like I know her by name. I know, she lives up in Johnstown, right? She knows I'm in real estate. And I said, she goes into my sphere of influence because we talk all the time. Like every time I
Hmm.
stop in, she's working. Hey, how's it going? Hey, what's going? She asks me how things are going. So it's like,
Oh
but
yeah.
I think that exercise with a lot of agents, they struggle with it. So you mentioned creating your own. What would be some of the uh, pointers or things that maybe the audience can think about when it comes to that?
So one of the things that I started doing the fall of 2022, I got my license the very end of July 22. So the fall of 2022, I created a mom's night out at my son does competitive gymnastics. So I created a mom's night out. And, a bunch of us just went out and it wasn't about selling. I mean, of course I talked about real estate and what was going on, but it wasn't about that. It was about
Yeah,
creating those connections, which I think I needed as a mom. First of all, like it just helped me get comfortable talking to more people and get my name out to them because that has then created, you know, other clients and people that I'm going to be working with. So I started that. And then the next big thing that I did was I did an event at our office. We had a Buckeye watch party. And so we did that. And I had my husband I told him, invite all your guys from work and tell them to bring people. Like, I don't care. It doesn't have to be a cohesive
yeah,
friend, event. We just want people there. And so, and then my next thing that I'm trying to work on is another mom event, like a ladies' day event at the office. So
so for the mom event, was it kind of like a monthly thing, or was
yeah,
it
we
just
were
kind of?
going out. Yeah, we were hitting up all the different wineries and just going out and um, just became good friends, not just gym friends.
Yeah,
And so it was. We started doing it about every month and a half, roughly, that we were going out.
yeah.
So
I always tell agents, I'm like, people know what you do. You don't have to always just talk real estate.
exactly.
Like they go and stalk your social media, right? They know what you do. I think, and maybe I don't know if you had this experience or not, but what I see sometimes, when an agent comes into our business, transitioning from another career or something, the sphere of influence sees them as what they formerly were doing instead of
Hmm.
as the real estate agent. Did you have some of that experience as well? And how did you overcome that?
Absolutely. I So my husband, he is the police chief up at Buckeye Lake. So he has a huge sphere. However, all those people have their own agents, have their own people that they work with.
Yeah.
So I knew I'm not even going to try kind of breaking into that area. I need to create my own thing. So I don't know. Um, I don't know. I just did it. I just went out and started talking to everybody and tried to make as many connections as I could and um just tried to go to as many events, tried to go as many classes, just struck up conversations with people whenever I could.
Yeah. I always encourage, agents coming into the business that you need to make sure that you're posting and talking about real estate more.
Mhm.
Right, and I
Oh,
think
absolutely.
sometimes we again, "Well, what do I post about?" I'm like, "Anything real estate related,"
Mhm.
like, I said, sometimes I just post, like, I just check into my office, or,
Yeah.
on Facebook, or sometimes I, take a photo that I'm out doing showings, or, that I'm shadowing someone, or that I'm doing a training, or something simple as just me, like, I do internet leads, right? Hitting the phones tonight, and,
Yeah.
so it's like, I think a lot of times when we're talking about coming into the industry and our sphere of influence, we just overcomplicate like
Yeah.
what we should be doing. And it's really what you just described. It's like, hey, I got to get in front of people. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter how you
Absolutely.
do it. It's just I got to get in front of people, and then real estate will eventually be brought up at some point.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Stephanie, when you got in, obviously you purchased your home during COVID
Yeah, December 21.
of 21. Okay. Now, and I know you mentioned that you moved to Dayton. Have you been back in Columbus prior to that, or did you come back with the purchase?
Yeah, I went. So I was in Dayton just when I was in my early 20s, and then I came back mid 20s and moved back to Columbus, right back into the Clintonville area. And then I met my husband. I was bartending, and he was doing special duty, and so we just kind of hit it off. And year later, we got married, and then I went into the corporate world. I went to Huntington's corporate office and worked there for a while until we had our son. And so then
Oh,
I just stayed home with him until it was time to go back to work.
no, that's awesome. And when you decided to get into real estate, obviously going in, 100% commission based industry,
Yeah.
did people think you were crazy? Did you have supporters? Where did your immediate circle fall?
So yes, it was scary. My husband and I had to talk because we actually had a major life change when the whole thing happened. Um, my husband had always had two jobs, to support me being a stay-at-home mom, and unfortunately, due to the economy or whatever, one of his jobs was eliminated, and that was the main source of our income.
Mm,
And so he was given, severance pay for so long, and so we're like, okay, we have 6 months, and this was April, and so we're like, we have 6 months, and I was like, I'm going to take my classes, and he was like, let's go ahead and try it. And I was like, it'll give us 6 months. And I was like, let's, suck it up for 6 months and see how it goes. And his last paycheck was the very end of October. And starting in September, I started getting real nervous. And then I got in contract about the end of September. And then we closed mid-November. So like literally like 2 weeks after his last paycheck was my first paycheck. And so then I ended up having two more closings that year. And then it just kind of started steamrolling from there.
When It's funny how the world works, the universe works like that, right?
Hmm.
Stephanie, so did you get licensed then in April? Did you go and do like the 3-week class, or?
I got licensed. I started taking my classes in April, but then I got COVID, and then I came down with bronchitis. It was a rough summer. It was a summer of like nonstop being sick. So I didn't end up getting my license until the end of July. There's also like delays with, getting the
Yeah.
testing and everything done at that point. So it took a while to get all that going. So I think July 29th was,
So really, you only had 60-ish days or so until you got your first buyer client in contract.
yeah,
It was pretty
yeah.
quick. How did you get your first couple people?
My first couple people were from Op City,
Mm,
where a lot of new agents are getting them from. Although right now, I guess it's turned off maybe for new agents, last I heard. But Op City was my first couple, and then I was able to take my money from my first couple of closings and I reinvested some of it into purchasing internet leads. And which, I know internet leads is a hot topic in the real estate world. However,
Not with
like I
me.
s- like I said, I was in a let's take care of the family. I need to fast
Mhm.
track my business. Everybody says, "Oh, agents sell 6 to 10 their first year." And I'm like, "Well, I'm going to try to do a little more." And I ended up doing a little more. Um
Let's let's talk about your first year. Obviously, you said you had three. The first year. end of the
Yeah,
year,
yeah,
right? By the end of the year of you being licensed. But how did you think about, you mentioned internet leads. How did you think about building your business? Obviously, we talked about sphere of influence,
yep.
being a thing, but, you know, did someone tell you to do internet leads, or was that just something that you just knew
No, I
from the trainings or?
I just knew that I was building my sphere of influence. I was building, I was doing the open houses. I'm kind of the queen of open houses. I love doing them. I love getting in front of people. I think I'm better at being in front of them than cold calling. And
Yeah.
so I'll do open houses. My goal this year is to do 50 open houses this
Wow.
year. So I did that, but once again, like I said, it was a major job that my husband
Yeah.
lost, and so I was trying to make up that income, and so I was just like, okay, I'm going to take a little bit of everything that I learned. And that's been my biggest thing is I try to learn so much and I soak up everything that I can, and I've reach out for whatever resonates with me. So I do so much different training, so many, podcasts, and I just try to see like what fits my style. And so I did that. And so I had the internet leads going. I was working on building my sphere of influence. I had the open houses that I was doing. And so if you look at my sales for the year, about half of them were from internet leads, but the other half were from open houses and people that I knew.
Yeah. What specifically works for you at an open house? Because I hate open houses. So open houses are not my jam. But, is there anything specifically that you do, and I love that you said your goal is 50 this year. I think that's
Yeah.
an awesome goal. But anything specifically that you do for your open houses to get more people through the door?
I obviously, put them on all the social media, ask my friends and family to share it on there. I've just started recently starting to do more of the like swag for the open houses. But I mean, besides that, with the open houses, I just love talking to people. I don't, it's not a showing to me.
Mm,
For me, an open house is come into the house, help yourself, take a look around. I'm here for any questions. But my goal at an open house is to build a relationship with that person. I mean,
mhm.
they can see it's a bedroom, they can see it's a bathroom, but hey, why are you looking to move? Are your kids do you have kids that are going to be going to the school? I've coached at a lot of the schools around central Ohio. So, I know a lot about the different areas. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just building that connection and finding out why they're moving and then kind of go from there.
Do you have people sign in? Do you just pass
Mhm.
out cards?
I do all. I have magnets now, pins, cards. I do like a little bag, a little gift bag with some mints and what else do I have? Always have cookies and water, and of course the water bottle's labeled.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then while I have it, I also have a sold um, book that I did, and for like a seller book, so that they can scroll through that and kind of
Yeah.
see some of my stats.
When you shared kind of the way that you built your business, right? I mean, you had three things, three business pillars,
Hmm.
and I see like a lot of agents, and even it doesn't matter where you're at in your career. I think even experienced agents, I catch myself, even with the team and the stuff that I have that, sometimes when we try to expand and try to do, more than what we want to do as far as the foundational pieces to our business is where we start to get distracted.
Hmm.
And you said, half of your business was probably from internet leads that
Yep.
first year, full year. And then the other half was a mixture of SOI and open houses. So, I hope the audience caught up on that because I know a lot of people getting into the business, they try to do everything, trying to see what
Yeah.
sticks instead of just kind of narrow focus on just the two to three things that you probably, enjoy doing the most.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And, open houses for you, I'm sure are more enjoyable because, I can already tell, right? You love talking to people and
Yeah.
interacting with people and, yeah. I'm like, yeah, yeah, walk through, you know, and I think some of that's a skill, right? And I
Mhm.
think some of that's just natural ability too, you know, of the person. So like, if you're out there trying to figure out, you know, how to win at open houses, make sure you guys hit up Stephanie after this, and you know, I'm sure she'll give you some pointers and things. So moving into 2023,
Yes.
did your business model change, or did you just kind of double down on it?
I ended the year 2022 or 2023 with 33 sales for
Wow.
my first for my first year. So you know, I think it's also important to say that when I first started, like probably about March of last year, I transitioned from the money aspect. Like at the beginning of the year, I was like, oh, my goal is to hit so many million, And then about springtime last year, I was like, I need to switch this up to it being people based.
Mm,
And, the more people I work with, the more referrals I'm hopefully going to get next year. And
yeah,
so my goal at that point switched to I want to try to work with as many people as possible. I don't even care if it's a $30,000 piece of land. Like
yeah,
I just want to work with as many people possible. And so
yeah.
that became my goal.
I
And
wanna go back real quick, because
yeah,
2022, how many did you do in 2022? Because obviously the first year
2022.
you got licensed was 21, you did 3 by the end of the
No, I
year.
got licensed in 22 and I did
Okay,
3 that year. And then last year, 23 was my first calendar year and I did
okay.
33.
Wow, that's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
just shy of 10 million.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah.
Congratulations, you
So,
know, not many people come out, you know, swinging like that, you know,
yeah.
in our business.
Yeah. That's why I'm doing my first mentorship right now. I'm mentoring an agent that just started at our office, and she's been in the business for a while, but she's been struggling on how to get it going. So I'm just trying to give her tips on what worked
Yeah,
for me, and but also let her know you've got to find what works for you.
yeah. Is there a rhythm to, um rhythm meaning, you know, a follow-up cadence or a reach out cadence that you have with your sphere of influence, and now obviously now your past clients and the clients that you're working with?
That is on my list for this year because that has been the hardest part for me is
Mhm.
that I'm so dedicated to the current people that I'm working with. I actually usually don't even set them up on uh, um, to send them the listings because I wake up at 6 a.m., start looking through the listings, and by 7 a.m., I'm sending them the list of stuff that I think would work for them. And so that's been the hardest part for me is the following up. But that's what my goal is this year is to do more of that and do more of the social media aspect of it.
No. And I'm curious because you said you had a mindset shift, and this is, you know, switching it from I wanna do a certain, you know, volume amount
Hmm.
to, how many people can I help? And I was always the same way, with how I approached my business. Was it was more of, and I'm a very, tactical person myself,
Hmm.
um, because to me, I couldn't control my volume number, but I
Hmm.
could control how many people, you know, I got
Yep.
to the closing table. What made you have that mindset shift? Because a lot of times we are focused on, obviously, we have to make a living,
Hmm.
right? And so we have to, you know, have goals and, you know, minimums of what we need to make, you
Yeah.
know, in
Oh
order to
yeah.
cover bills and things. But it is a mindset shift of not just always looking at the dollar, but the effort that you put in to find the people that you can help serve.
It's it's kind of crazy. But when I first started this, I I guess the give back was my big thing. So, I switched from thinking about money because I felt like okay, I was starting to get a rhythm and my family's fine. like we're doing good. We're doing good for probably the next 6 months, and just having that like little bit of a cushion made it so that I wasn't that, oh my gosh, if I don't have a closing next month, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay things.
Yeah.
So I was lucky enough that because I had those sales at the very beginning and then had some at the beginning of the year, that I was able to not freak out. So I think March last year I didn't have a single closing. And I was getting a little scared. Like I don't like not being in contract, but I wasn't freaking out. And so, but then it just pushed me to work those people that I was working with and really kind of focus on talking to as many people as I can. And I feel like when you focus on the people, your business naturally grows.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, it was the maybe the words the detachment to the
Yeah.
result, is
Yeah.
something that's hard, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Because again, this is our livelihood, and if someone doesn't close or if the deal falls through, right, we still put in all of the hours,
Oh,
to get to
yeah.
that moment.
Absolutely.
But I think it took me a decent while of time to kind of detach a little bit from chasing, the commission that came with helping the client.
Absolutely. And I work with being a newer agent, I was working with a lot of first time home buyers.
Mm.
And, you know, with this economy and with the interest rates, I really focused on my negotiation skills. I was constantly trying to get seller concessions, at a time where people were saying, "Oh, that's dead." I was trying to find a way to still get it.
Yeah.
And my big thing is when I'm going into contract, like I make that connection with the agent also. With the listings that I've had, I've been surprised at some that just send the offer over and we don't talk at all. And I'm like, well, by 8 o'clock tonight, it's hard to remember,
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
have so that's just it's all about making those connections.
Yeah, for sure. So how's 2024 looking so far?
It's doing good. It's been better than last year. I think I'm um closing. I have the deals that I have in contract will be my ninth closing for the year.
There you go.
So yeah, so
Yeah.
better start than last year.
Yeah, no, that's
So
awesome. And that's kind of where I want to, kind of take things with looking at your business. What are you? I know you mentioned you want to do 50 open houses this year,
yeah,
but is there anything else on your list of things that you want to get accomplished within the next 12 months?
this year, I went to prove to myself that last year wasn't a fluke, that I can keep it going because it is a scary business and, not getting into the whole everything that's going on, but with everything going on in the news and everything, I want to prove to myself that I can keep going even, in a tougher time. And
Yeah.
so that's going to be my big thing is just focusing on continuing my business model that I did last year, doubling down on stuff. Like I said, the open houses, doubled down on trying to host some events. And last year I did the one event, and this year I'm going to try to do 2 or 3 events. And besides that, just keep learning, keep doing the classes. I'm doing lots of social media classes right now, doing the Glover training right now. And so just doing all that so that I can pick out bits and pieces that I can use.
What is maybe someone's watching this or listening to this and they're like, well, I don't have 50 open house opportunities. How are you creating those, and where are you looking to get those?
I there's only a couple people at our office that likes doing open houses, so I don't care if it's been on the market for a month. I'll still do an open house. I'll do a Friday night open house. Like
Hmm.
those seem to be doing really great lately.
Yeah.
I actually had another agent from a different brokerage reach out to me and ask me if I would do an open house for him, and I let him know, hey, I want to hit 50 this year. You're a big agent. I'm sure you hate open houses at this point. I'll do them for you. Let me know. So if I don't have them in office, I'm going to be looking out of office.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I learned very early on. One of the guys that I followed in early in my career. And again, I did not, I did open houses back then just because,
Yeah.
I was new and,
Yeah.
someone walked through the door. Right. But Joshua Smith, he's got a great YouTube following. He's out of Arizona, I think. GSD Mode is the name of his channel. But he's one that, he built his business and his team off of open houses. And so
Mhm.
if you're listening to this and you're like, man, I don't have money for leads and I don't have, I can't, door, or I don't want to door knock, or I don't have money for mailers, or whatever the case may
Mhm.
be. Open houses are free, right?
Yep.
And all you have to do, and this is the takeaway I had from Joshua Smith. He's like, I prospected real estate agents like I prospected for clients.
Mhm.
And he would call not just agents in his office, but agents in his marketplace
Mhm.
and just do what you did. Hey,
Yep.
I'm available. Like, I love them. Let me do them. They're free. I'll do them, Tuesdays and Thursdays if you want.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. You don't have to do open houses just on Saturdays and Sundays. You could do it a
Exactly.
Wednesday night. You could do a Friday night.
Yep. The
Do them
the
7 days a week.
weekday ones are actually doing really well.
Actually, I'm gonna show you this. You might need to steal this sign for a vacant lot.
Okay. I love it.
So I
I
used
do
to
need that.
on vacant homes, I would put this right next to the for sale sign
That's
because every
awesome. I
day could
love
be
it.
because every day could be an open.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my gosh, I love it. That's hilarious.
Stephanie, what's something that you're looking to accomplish within the next 5 years?
Um, so I'd like to start getting into the investment side also. My husband and I were both in our mid 40s ish. And, so we're looking down the road at retirement. And so I really want to start getting into the investment side also so that I'm trying to help set us up for the future.
You guys personally buying investments or working more with investors?
Well, I would love to work with more investors, but we want to get into investing. So get into some rental properties, probably.
I was just going to ask you what excites you, buying holds to long-term rentals, Airbnbs, buying flips?
I think I would like to try long-term rental, but then also I wouldn't mind checking out the Airbnb also.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I mean, you're
I think
close to a great spot here in Central Ohio, so.
I know, I know. I'm just right down the street from Hocking Hills with everybody else.
What's something that you think you're gonna have to add into maybe your business or, in this situation, maybe your life to be able to accomplish that goal?
Um, right now we are just trying to pay off some stuff and put money aside because I want to try to pay as much of it up front as I can because I know that it'll help with taking out the loan or whatever we need for it. So that's kind of where this year is. This year is just focusing on how much can we save, how much can we pay off,
Yeah.
and to get us set up for next year, which is when we want to start with the investments.
Yeah. I found myself that real estate investing is kind of like based off of your personality on how you kind of view things. Like, I'm more of a
Hmm.
laid back and relaxed person, so you would think like
Yeah.
I would long term buy and holds, but those don't really excite me that much.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm more into, like, I love to flip. I love flipping homes. I don't do a ton of them.
Yeah.
And last year we ended up buying two long term rentals and an Airbnb. So that's been an interesting journey with all three of those. So
Which one
I'm
do you like better? The Airbnb?
well, see, what's crazy though is the one long-term rental is is in an area that's appreciating so fast. So, like, that's
Oh, nice.
kind of more exciting. Like, to me, an extra 200-300 bucks a month doesn't really
Oh,
excite me.
yeah.
So that's just one extra client, right? I gotta
Yeah.
go. So, but the Airbnb has been a little bit more frustrating. It's down in Texas in the winter months. That
Oh,
hasn't been as nice, covering mortgage payments and all of those things.
yeah.
But I think when it all shakes out, I think you need a blend of all of them, in my
Yeah.
opinion, to kind of round out that portfolio, so to speak.
Oh,
But
yeah.
my all-time favorite is to flip a house.
I talked with
I could
Tom. I told him I want to do that. And he was like, no, I'm not a handy person. So he was like, you're going to have to contract everything out. Like, that's true.
Yeah, yeah. Stephanie, what's a legacy goal for you?
I would love to work with agents and get into, I don't want to say so much coaching. I like mentoring. So that's going to be one of my big things that I would like to progress on as the longer I do this. I think it kind of goes back to my coaching days, and I loved coaching kids and just helping people in general. Um, so that's where I think down the line I really want to focus on. I'm not a team person. I like focusing on my business, but I love helping people as well. So
That's interesting because, you grew up coaching kids,
yeah.
right? And being
Yeah.
in team environments, but it's not for you, huh?
No, I started on a team briefly, and it was a little bit more of focusing on their business, which I know I was training and I know, but
Mhm.
I was so focused on getting my stuff going that it was kind
Yeah.
of hard. So I figured the best thing was just go solo and focus on mine.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I think there's agents out there that, absolutely need to be on a team. And I think there's agents
Hmm.
out there that can obviously be a self-starter, right? But I do believe that the majority of brand new agents, the high majority of brand new agents should start on a team for at least 6 months to 12
Oh
months.
yeah.
And just to get their start of their career going. But
Oh,
last question.
absolutely.
Last question for you, Stephanie. If
Yeah.
you could give one piece of advice to the audience, maybe it's one that you received, when you first got into the business, or maybe it's one that you give now that you're in that role as more of a mentor to some agents getting into the business. What would that be?
I think I would say that the secret to real estate is that there is no secret. It's just getting out there and doing it. You don't get the experience until you experience it. And so you've just got to get out there. You have to do something every day, you know. Yes, take your days off. But you've got to be doing something at all times. If you don't have anything going on with your business, get with people that do have business going on. Go into the office, see what they're doing, and then see if you can replicate it. And so that's kind of my biggest thing is just you've got to make it your own. What works for me is not going to work for you, is not going to work for other agents in my office.
Yeah. I mean, it's spot on. I always tell people you have to be doing real estate agent activities daily. Right?
Absolutely.
Even if it's not for your own business, but it's maybe you're helping an agent put a sign in the yard or
Oh,
covering a
absolutely.
showing or, whatever even just going into the office. You have nothing else planned that day, right? You're not motivated or whatever. Just go into the office and be a real estate agent for at least that hour, that 30 minutes, that 50,
Oh,
whatever it is.
absolutely. Because it's really
Um,
easy to let it get sidelined, and so it's something that you have to stay on top of because it's not going to happen unless you're making things happen. And
yeah,
so I recommended to the brokers that, perhaps maybe new agents that come in, have them kind of do like TC work. And just so that it helps get them used to dot loop and doing the paperwork side of it. So when they're writing their first contract, they're not freaked out over, you know, what
yeah,
goes into all of it. And they know, oh, this is the RPD, this is the lead based, this is the stuff that we need to get taken care of.
yeah,
So
yeah, for sure. Well, Stephanie, thanks so much for
absolutely.
coming on here and sharing your story, your journey, and your thoughts and your real estate business. Those that are watching, Stephanie's contact information is down below. Make sure you guys hit her up if you're thinking about buying, selling, investing here in Central Ohio. She would love to help you. If you're a real estate agent and you're watching this and you just loved her story and her vibe, you want to ask her questions, make sure you guys reach out to her. But Stephanie, for those that are listening in on the podcast, what is the best way for someone to connect with you?
My cell phone is always on, except for I turned it off right before this, just in case somebody tried to call multiple times and it went through. But my cell phone's always on. It's 740-606-5911.
Stephanie, thanks again for your time. I really enjoyed having you on here, and just picking your brain on how you really went from 0 to 30 some transactions in 12 months. I mean, that is fantastic. And
Thanks.
if there's anything that I could ever do for you, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm here to help you any way that I can.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on.
All right, we'll talk soon.